All right, so yeah, getting into our thoughts on the meta. I'm going to let you lead here because clearly I didn't have too many notes. I mean, I think you already kind of got into the no fun side of things, and that was a pretty big discussion during this season, I think. So what were your thoughts as far as the meta and how your season went?
Well, the no fun one for me, although I play it myself many times, but the one that I kept seeing more and more is I haven't even come up with a good name for it yet, but the IronSlaught deck.
Ooh,
Or
yeah.
Hela or whatever. I just getting smacked with that. And I mean, I've played it plenty of times and it doesn't work out, but man, when it does, I quickly made a deck, and I don't even know if I kept it to try to counter it with like Echo and Red Guardian. I was playing with somebody who was using the MODOK-Hela combo and then probably had all the living IronSlaught elements in there. I was playing them in Conquest. I don't know if I won or not, but I at least made it competitive. Whenever they played Invisible Woman, I just played Red Guardian. So they couldn't hide. Even if your plan doesn't work, you've got enough heavy hitters that you're still in it.
Yeah.
But I mean, that and Zola Null,
That's
or
classic.
Zola and Black Panther. I mean, it's hard to do anything with unless you've got Cosmo, who is probably another one I should use more often, but then I wind up blocking myself out.
Yeah,
there
right.
have been a couple times where either on my side or on the opponent's side, Cosmo's sitting there, and I'm like, I'm just going to play this on reveal right here. Why didn't it work?
Yep.
I saw that a lot. I didn't use my IronSlaught deck much. It's still fun to use, but yeah, it's almost like when I go back and try to mess around with the MODOK-Hela deck, it's like, well, why wouldn't you at least put Iron Man and Onslaught and Living Tribunal in there?
Yeah. Let me riff off of that real quick because I definitely made some adjustments because of that going on. I'm still faithfully using my cannonball deck that I created, but because of Onslaught, that's all I was facing was ongoing stuff that was just crippling me.
Yeah.
And I threw Rogue in there, and Rogue wasn't doing the job because if you got IronSlaught you're going up against, you've got 3 ongoings that you got to try and address. Yeah. 2 of them are going to be on one location usually, and that's going to be Iron Man and that's going to be Onslaught. So I took her out and put in Enchantress.
Oh, yeah.
So I was done with that. I ended up still facing a bunch of decks that had a bunch of ongoing in them, and Enchantress was eating them alive.
Yeah.
So I definitely can identify with what you're talking about.
Enchantress is another one. Like, maybe it's just my lack of skill or attention to detail, because I'm like, I'm going to mess myself up with Enchantress. I like throwing Echo out there. I mean, usually they just avoid it, but I mean, I've also had people be as careless as me sometimes and put something down, and Echo slaps your ongoing away. And she's only a 1 cost. If I have her in the deck and I see somebody play Invisible Woman, I'll put Echo down there. Well, but that's only if they're using the Iron Man Onslaught combo. It doesn't do anything to MODOK and Hello. That's where you play Cosmo. But yeah, I mean, there's ways around it. I mean, it's a bummer when you build something up, and like I said, I lost a game where someone literally only played 3 cards: Invisible Woman, MODOK, Hela. But stuff still has to break right for them. And I mean, we just identified several ways around it. I don't get if only because I've tried most of these strategies and seen them crumble, I know they can be beaten. So
as for myself, didn't get above 80. This was the 70 show all over again. Got really close. Like I said, when I was playing Cancun, I fought and fought. Normally when there's a hot location, I'm usually dropping a lot of cubes because the location isn't showing up. And then I'm not winning enough to really make a difference. Well, with Cancun, I was winning 8 cubes left and right, so that's why it was making a difference. But I was constantly using my Cannonball Professor X deck. I noticed that it's not having. I mean, I went to Infinite with that deck, dude. I don't understand how I'm not going to Infinite now. Like all of a sudden, I'm not being able to go to Infinite, and it's not like I can sit there and go, "It's because of this card." It's not it. I don't see War Machine at all, hardly.
Yeah.
War Machine's not showing up a whole lot, so I don't know how I was able to make such an impact one season, and then now I cannot seem to win with it. And I don't know why. It could be user error.
Well, it might just be because the people are seeing it more now, or they're prepared for it. I mean, I got beat by it a couple times to the point where I was like, yeah, I'm going to have to get Cannonball. I missed him in the keys, the spotlight caches. I think it's just like you were using him right out of the gate like that.
That's true.
People didn't have it or weren't used to it. So I think that may be part of it. I mean, IronSlaught works pretty well for me, but it's, it hasn't gotten me back to Infinite. The last 2 seasons when I started doing poorly, I went back to my Annihilus deck, and that, I had good luck with it, but that didn't get me back to Infinite. Maybe I just wasn't patient enough. I didn't really find anything that I settled on for any long amount of time this season. I kept jumping around. I was finding some fun stuff. I mean, I was having fun. That's the
that's all matters. That's all that matters.
But yeah, not having a lot of sustained success with much of anything.
I think that as far as what else was I going to say about Cannonball?
But have you tried him like loading it up with like
Doc
Juggernaut and Stegron and Craven and just knocking all their people all around so they can't put them where they want them?
So the key combo with the deck is Psylocke turn 3, Doc Ock turn 4, Professor X turn 5 if Daredevil's on there, and then Cannonball. With this deck, it's very much a situation where, and I think I said this last season when I was talking about it, I know that I can win. What I mean is that it doesn't mean that I'm always going to win, but what happens is when I'm going to win and I can see, okay, there's nothing else that this person can do. I'm going to win this game if I play on this last turn. So it's very easy for me to see when I'm going to win, but most of it is happening a lot less frequently. So just like you said, the game's changed a good bit since then. We've got new cards and all that. So maybe that's what's going on. But yeah, that's the one reason why I like the deck so much is because if I have a higher probability of knowing I'm going to win, I'll snap all day long and try and get those 8 cubes. But yeah, you're right. Loading them up first is what I try to do with Doc Ock. I'll load it up.
Yeah.
And of course, there's a lot of Shang-Chi. My gosh, Doc Ock pulls down Shang-Chi every single time.
That's one thing I did because, I said Jeff was getting to be a card that I figure you can put in just about any deck. Luke Cage, Red Guardian, Shang-Chi. I tried a deck of the cards that I always want to put in. I'm like, let's come up with 12 cards that you could put in almost any deck. Didn't really work any well. There was no core to it.
That's crazy.
I mean, those were all good support pieces. I don't think I kept that deck very long, but like there was nothing, no powerhouse in it. I think I did have Red Hulk. Because, again, I put him in just about every deck for a while. But I don't know. It just didn't. It was all these good cards. I think that's one of the strategies is something good cards. You take a smaller theme like Darkhawk and the Rockers and then just put a bunch of good cards around it. But I was just putting in all the good support cards and nothing to bring it together.
I hear you. Well, let's go ahead and we'll talk about unlocks. And I'll go first.
Okay.
I did go a little crazy on the first season.
Well, and you just plowed into this season, too.
First week of this season here that just dropped. I spent some spotlight keys. Currently, as of yesterday, I'm sitting at 11,601 collector level. I've got 3 spotlight keys. To start off, I want to talk about one that I don't think I talked about last time. I got a Pixel Shanna the She-Devil. And I don't think I brought her up, and I don't know why. I just didn't have things sorted. When I was looking at my list, I didn't have her on there, so I wanted to make sure I mentioned her. Got a Dan Hip Hobgoblin.
Nice.
That must have been the week that Nocturne released. I ended up getting 4 new cards in a row here. Kyra.
Nice.
Mockingbird. Nocturne and Selene.
That's Kyra. I mean, she doesn't work all the time, but man, when she works.
But yeah. Those 4, I would say that I use Nocturne the most. I've gotten into a situation where I think I've had Mockingbird in a deck, but I haven't used her a whole lot. I got a lot of cards that I want to use, and I'm not using them as much as I want to. So anyway, there you go. That's those 4 new ones that I got there. Next up would be a Dan Hip Magneto.
Nice.
Got a baby Cyclops. Pixel Mr. Negative. He's pretty neat. He's neat animated. He is holding a sword, it looks like. All right, so yeah, the sword's all animated, which looks pretty cool. All right, so Pixel Mr. Negative. I got an Eduardo Francisco Taskmaster.
That's the MCU version, right?
I don't know. Look.
Yeah, with like kind of the yellow sunglasses and the armor, no cape. Yeah, that's the MCU one.
You got it.
Spoiler alert, Dreykov's daughter.
Luchador Red Guardian.
Nice.
And that one I'm pretty sure I had to purchase with gold, but I'm all about the Luchador cards.
Still don't have a Luchador variant.
Really? Wow. I've got Luchador and Baku. Oh my goodness, what's his name? Warpath.
Did you see the Jim Lee Warpath today?
Oh boy. Oh man, Jim Lee cards, man. I'm telling you what. All right, Pixel Iron Fist,
Nice.
Baby Squirrel Girl,
That's a good one.
Luca Claretti, Lockjaw, which
I just call it Luke Jaw.
Luke. Then Chibi Medusa,
Trade you some chibis for a luchador.
Jamal Campbell Crystal, which I don't know if you know that one.
I don't think so.
It's the old. Remember Crystal when she had the short haircut?
Oh
like
yeah,
Fantastic Four.
where she's like holding up a newspaper or tearing a poster or something.
Tearing a poster, right?
That was a cover from.
Was it really?
What era that was? Yeah.
I saw somebody. I don't in my stream there last stream I did. Somebody had the Galactus comic book cover as their avatar.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, I like that. All right, now for my variant that I got, I think that I unlocked. I'm pretty sure this was it, and that was Baby Doc Ock. It's essentially just Otto Octavius being held up as a baby by his arms, and it's cute, I guess. All right, next up, Pixel Misty Knight, Pixel Nokia, Dan Hip Coulson, which is really cool, and I think.
Oh yeah, that one looks awesome.
Yeah, might be my favorite one out of here. He's holding up the Captain America trading card, so it's really cool. Then I think at that point the series drop finally happened, and I hit a collector's cache that gave me Martyr. I ended up with Martyr, and then I got Baby Magic, and then I hit another set of cards that again I was trying to get with keys. This first week of the new season, I had a couple cards that I really wanted. I ended up getting Echo. I think that was a collector's reserve. And then I ended up with Grandmaster. I'm trying to get Thena. I end up getting Grandmaster, and then instead of what does it do? Like it could give you a series. Is it a series 4 card?
Forget.
It's either series 3 or series 4. But anyway, I have Black Swan. So I ended up spinning a spotlight key and it gave me Black Swan. Didn't have that. That's the one where it
random series 4 or 5 card.
Okay. So I ended up with Black Swan. I didn't have it. And then finally got Thena. Out of all of those cards, I end up with 4, 8, 9 brand new cards in that 1 month from when we last recorded. So there you go. There it is. That's all I unlocked. How about you, Evan Bevins?
I started off with Nocturne, and then I got the Blade variant that I was hoping for, the Boy Thing variant.
What is that?
Somewhere in Avengers, when Blade became an Avenger, he got a little man thing that he calls Boy Thing. And he turned it into armor at one point, and I guess he was freaked out by it because he was like burning the whole time he was in it.
Oh, seen this. I've never understood what this variant was.
Jason Aaron's Avengers.
Every time I ran into him, I was like, oh, there's old Pumpkinhead Blade. I didn't know what it was. I had no idea. Boy Thing.
Here is I'm sending you just a out of context panel of Blade with the Boy Thing armor on, taking down a rather familiar figure.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, taking down the Silver Surfer. Forgot about that one.
Jeez Louise.
Okay. So then I got a Pixel Nova. Always appreciate that. A Dan Hip stature, although my phone keeps correcting it to Dan Hippo.
Dan Hippo.
A Swarm by Nicola Sejmina.
Oh, yeah.
Much cooler than the standard Swarm. So that became my go-to enough to where I was like, I'm going to put Swarm in some decks, mainly with Gambit to hopefully just keep giving him endless cards to throw. Max Grecki Debris, Dan Hip Black Knight. Then I got Sage with my Spotlight Key and got Red Guardian with my tokens. I think I sent you a message. I was getting pretty high on tokens, and then I got a cover from the shop that hit a milestone in an album to give me like 1,000 or 2,000 tokens, and that took me to the 10 covers, so I got like 4,000 tokens in one shot. So I was able to get Red Guardian, and I'm almost back up to 6,000 tokens again, because about the only 3,000 token option was Martyr, and yeah, I got her when they dropped to Series 3. I suddenly had a free Series 3 card waiting for me for the first time in ages. So then I got Pixel Magic.
Okay.
Pixel Cerebro.
No, if I've ever seen the Pixel Cerebro.
I think the one that got me that 4,000 double dip, I think, was the Jim Lee Colossus.
Yeah, that Colossus is pretty cool. I've had that one for a while.
I got a Dan Hip Ghost and a Dan Hip Brood, which would be pretty cool if my man Brew wasn't still my favorite variant there. Got Nomura with my key. The bonus variant I got was a Peach Momoko Daredevil.
Oh, okay.
Just awesome. Kind of brings back the Alex Maleev Daredevil vibes from Bendis's run. Painted, a little not abstract exactly, but just, a lot of less realistic, more kind of ethereal, like Daredevil diving off a building.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Got a Flaviano Adam Warlock.
Okay.
And then I just barely got in Conquest under the wire to get called the MCU Valkyrie, but it's actually Exiles appropriate because when they relaunched Exiles, they had a version of the Tessa Thompson Valkyrie on the team.
Oh, okay, cool.
Along with an actual chibi Wolverine.
An actual chibi Wolverine.
That was my season in unlocks.
What was your favorite out of those?
Let me look back at this again. I mean, that Jim Lee Colossus is pretty classic, but maybe Boy Thing Blade, just because it's so weird, even though I don't like saying Boy Thing out loud. But, I like weird versions of established characters. I don't know, man. Just in terms of usefulness, Red Guardian, that Peach Momoko Daredevil became my favorite Daredevil. I've never used Daredevil a lot. Dan Hip Black Knight's pretty awesome. It's a good mix of cards.
Good. All right. Well, that right there was our discussion about the meta and our unlocks. Thanks a lot for joining us. Make sure to tune in tomorrow for the next installment of Snap Material.